If you're a mama or mama to be, I've got a really cool guest today who has the workout regimen of your dreams. Sarah Isaacs, founder of the Butterfly Method, offers perinatal fitness programs that foster results and make moms feel good. Welcome to the show, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I have a lot of questions for you. And it's really funny. I was inspired to have you on the show because you're very popular amongst my clients. I service mompreneurs. And when people look into my background and they look at my portfolio and they see the butterfly method, it always gets their attention. And they're like, who is this? Is this for me? Can I do this? Who is like, how do I get on this? And I'm always sending people to you. So it's really, really funny that like instead of like, hey Michelle, I'm so excited to work with you, it's like, who's Sarah Isaacs? What's the butterfly method? How do I get in on that? So I'm like, okay, I must have Sarah on the show because people are obviously interested in this. And it is really cool what you do. So I want to talk about what you do, and then we're going to talk about how you made a business out of it. So can you briefly describe the butterfly method, what it is, and who it's for?
Okay, so the Butterfly Method is a brand that like a year ago, we connected and you made it literally a dream come true for me. It's a brand that services mothers um, in whatever growth and goals surrounding fitness. So I started the program with postpartum and prenatal programs, and it's just solely fitness. It's helping women feel strong again. It's helping women feel like they could do it, meeting them where they're at instead of, giving them a cookie cutter program that they have to somehow figure out how to like work for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead, I help, okay, this is where you're at. This is what you could do. This is like what your fears are. Okay, let's meet you where you're at and make this possible for you because everyone could really, really be amazing. I know it sounds so cliche, and I feel like the whole brand is so cliche in a certain way. Like you could be amazing, you could be strong, you could be anything you want to be. But like we say that to our kids, we say that to so many people. I don't say it enough to myself. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah.
that's one thing that I really like envisioned for the program is that like there's so many fitness programs out there. There's so many just things that you could do. If you just like scroll through Instagram reels, you see like 100 different types of workouts. But like
Right.
not realistic for a lot of busy mothers who are in the like their childbearing years where they're running from this show event and then they have this kid is homesick and then they're also working and then they have to
Yep.
make shots and then like Sukkot is around the corner, like all these things. And I was like, okay, we need to make something that's so tangible and so not like scary.
I love that you customize workouts for moms because moms are in all different phases and stages, right? There are moms who are having their first child. There are moms that are up to child number 6 and they're juggling and they don't have time. And you meet them, like you said, where they're at, which I love. I love that aspect because I'm that mom who's always like, oh, I'll do a workout tomorrow. And then there's no time. Like you're a cheerleader for your clients, which I love. I think that's so great. And everyone really does need that because going it alone is really hard. So that's super cool. So at what point did you think to yourself, I'm going to make a business out of this? Like, how'd you find your niche? And like, what was that moment where you're like, this is who I want to serve and this is what I want to do? And did you find your niche right away or did you try offering training to a more broad audience first? Like, how'd you get here?
So just like a human, like any human, I evolved. I started out after seminary. I don't know how many years ago that was, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. I always knew I wanted to be a personal trainer. I literally have been working out since 10th grade and I have a lot of energy. So like I knew that this was something that I wanted to do. I was doing personal training. I was doing group classes in like the basement of our show in Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out to anyone who was there. And it was big, it was popular. I knew that it was something I was so good at. And then we like when I in all the different places I lived, I was just giving like these classes and personal training and Pilates and Tabata. And like I just kind of like whatever interests me, I offered. And then we started having babies, right? So like it evolved. I was like a single girl, then I got married, and then like I started having a baby, and I was like, oh my God, my body is failing me. And I felt it very much, and I kept hearing it from my clients. I did not know anything about prenatal or postpartum fitness because that's not really, it's a whole separate training. And I didn't know because I also didn't live in a pre or postnatal body. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I experienced that after like my second child. I realized like, oh my God, Sarah, like you have to figure out how to help them and you because it's a nightmare. Like it really is. Like I hate sounding so negative, but like our bodies are really, really like go through like a lot.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's not just about like losing weight and like looking hot. It's also look like about feeling good and also feeling like you could wake up in the morning and like take care of everybody and yourself and like feel good at the end of it. You know what I mean? And I
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
feeling that way. My clients weren't feeling good that way. So I have to figure out, and that's kind of how I like evolved into this like niche. That was about 5 years ago. Um, and I really haven't looked back since. Like I have no desire to do anything else. I love it.
I think it's great that you took something that like you had a skill, right? You were able to teach people how to work out. So you took that skill and you started selling that skill. But then it went from selling a skill to selling a solution to a problem, right? So a lot of women I know struggle. Again, I'm speaking for myself, but I also have friends that can relate where, there's that feeling of like, I would love to feel better, lighter, keep up with my kids. I know that I struggled with that a lot after my kids were born. And it was like, when am I going to start getting energy back again? You know? And I feel like that's a lot of what you help women with. And it's so great that you recognize that like you could do more than just these workouts. And I think with this niche, you're really, really helping people at a higher level, which is so great and so beautiful. So I want to also ask you about diastasis recti. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I have that, and I know that you help women with that. And there are so many women that don't know what that is, and they have it and they're unaware of it because they don't even know that it exists. So can you explain what it is and how you help women fix that?
So diastasis recti is a gap in your abdominal wall. So I mean, like we all have it when we have a baby because there's a baby there that literally separates our abdominal wall to make room for the baby. And then um, I would say, I don't know what the percentage is anymore, but a lot of women, it does not go back. Like a lot. So a lot of times, like at your 6 week checkup, you may still have like a little bit of a gap, and then it will naturally heal on its own and it will go back. Two things could happen. Either it won't go back and you have something called diastasis recti, which is basically two fingers this way or more.
Right.
Um, or you start doing like you run, for instance, like I'm a big runner. I don't know, shout out to any runners out there. But if you start running too early and you don't really engage your core properly, then it could make it worse. So it might initially go back or like heal on its own. But if you start doing exercises, planks, push-ups, things that burpees, things that are like going to make it put so much pressure on that abdominal wall too early, then it could make it worse. So those are like two ways to like kind of get it. Sometimes there's just honestly nothing we could do about it. It's just the way that our bodies are. And the rehab process is actually really not as scary as people like make it out to be. And I'm not just saying it because I have a like positive experience. I had diastasis recti. I healed it with two babies.
Wow.
And and it wasn't hard for me, maybe because I was a personal trainer, so I knew what to do and I already had the like training for it. But I've helped a lot of clients and they're like, wait, Sarah, that's all it was? And I was like, yeah, you did it. Wait, I thought I would like it would take you like 6 months. I'm like, no, like you did the exercises and they work. And now you're free to go. And a very simple, like if you do the work, then you'll see the results. And then you're done. You know what I mean? So it isn't as scary as like people make it out to be. Now there are people who have really severe cases or they ignored it for 9 years. You know what I mean? So like obviously it's not everybody, but it's not as scary.
Right. And is
And
there anything like medically wrong? Like if it got worse, what would happen then? Like, is that so bad?
so there are a lot of symptoms that come with it. Not, it's again, it's very personal to each person, but constipation is a big one, low back pain is a big one, pelvic floor just dysfunction. You feel your core is really weak, which like I don't
Wow.
think guys, it's not just about like having like a flat stomach. There's so many things to having a weak core that like inhibit us.
Yeah.
You know, like the center of our body. It's like what guides us all around. We don't realize that until like we have it. Like it's hard to do things in a like a weird way, like everyday things. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I do. I've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So I think that like there are, I mean, I don't know too much from the medical. I can't speak to that. That would be like maybe a question for a physical therapist. But there's definitely a lot of different symptoms that inhibit people from, you know, functioning properly. So it's not something I don't think to take like lightly and be like, okay, I'm just gonna have like a big pooch. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah.
Okay, yeah, that really makes sense. And I for myself see such a difference when I do focus on my core and strengthen my core. And I do the diastasis recti exercises. And I love when you share the exercises. I love when you have like the little snippets on Instagram and your emails. So I love the information that you share. Um, did you always, is this a full-time thing for you now? Is this like your full-time job?
It
Was it
really,
always?
so the online program, like the butterfly method, is not full time. But my personal training and yeah, that's it's I would say it's like between part time and full time. Yeah.
And was it always like, did you transition from something else into this training or was that always what you did?
It's always what I did. I've been doing,
Nice.
yeah.
That's really a blessing because not everyone, I've seen a lot of journeys where someone's doing their 9 to 5 and then it's like, okay, maybe I'll go pursue my dream now. But you're like, I have this vision, I have this dream. I'm just going to dive in and do it and see what happens, which is awesome. I
Yeah, like
love that.
oh, I still remember that like when I was like after seminary, my parents were like, maybe you should do something for real. And I was like, okay. So I went to college and I started going for nutrition and I was like, I don't want to talk to people about food all day. And I literally like quit
Wow, that's so great.
myself like doing that. Like I don't even want to be in school.
I totally hear that. And especially like when you have a talent and you know how to help people, then, all that extra training just seems unnecessary if that's not something you want to pursue. How did you learn the workout routines? Like you chose your niche, you wanted to do prenatal fitness. How did you gain the confidence to work with women one on one where you knew you were going to get them results? So, how did you reach that level of expertise?
It's so funny. Someone just asked me this. Okay, I still remember vividly. I'm about to be so like honest because I feel like personal trainers and like people in this industry are just, they don't really speak to like the like beginning when they didn't really know what they were doing. Uh, we take these programs. They literally do not teach us anything about being a personal trainer. It's really about being hands on and the experience of it. And I still remember my first few clients when I was a personal trainer, not pre and postnatal, and then like my first diastasis recti client and like the exercise and I still remember like literally thinking in my head, Hashem, please let this cover close. What if it doesn't work?
Oh my God.
Idea what I'm doing. I had my coach help me, my coach who taught me the program. I reached out to her. I was like, I got my first client. This is what I told her to do. Are you sure it's gonna work? And she's like, Sarah, yes, it's good. You know what you're doing. You have the training. This is perfect. This is what I've given to my clients. And she like literally held my hand. So I'm grateful I had like a mentor in that sense. But yeah, and then once I saw that it worked for her and that like it was good, I it gave me confidence to keep going. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then I had diastasis recti and I did it on myself and I was like, oh my God, this works. And so I think that like that's kind of like, and I think a lot of personal trainers and fitness professionals out there can like relate to this, but like when you see people's faces and you see how they're like, I'm a very people person, right? Like, I mean, when I see how they're reacting to it and I get that feedback from them and I see that they're, let's say, sweating or they're in pain or that they feel like they got a good workout in, or they're like, oh my God, Sarah, you know what I did the other day? And like, I like never play with my kids like that. And like things like that. I'm like, okay, what I'm doing is working. We got to keep going with this. Like, you know what I mean?
So
But of course,
rewarding.
out in the beginning, we have no idea what we're doing.
I think that's everybody, you know. I had no idea what I was doing either. I was like charging by the hour. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know the first thing about designing at a professional level. We all got to start somewhere, you know. So I think that's really relatable for a lot of entrepreneurs right now who are first starting out. Oh my gosh, I'm like still wiping away tears from laughing so hard. That was so cute. How grateful are we though for those clients that trusted us in the first place? Like that very first few, like thank you for trusting me and
Oh
being
my,
my guinea pig.
I still remember teaching Tabata classes. I used to teach a Tabata class. I don't know if you know what Tabata is. It's
Yeah,
like,
sure. I've done it.
yeah. So I used to teach Tabata classes in the basement of like a shul in Atlanta, Georgia, Monday and Wednesday nights. It was so cheap. It was $5 a class. I literally, it would be packed the room.
Wow.
A really like fun thing. And I still remember them saying, sorry, you're gonna leave us and you're gonna go open a gym and you're gonna be amazing. I was like this young little girl. They were all at my wedding. You know what I mean? They're like amazing. Watch. And like every time I post something on Instagram that's like big, one of the ladies will text me and say, I knew you were gonna like be amazing. Like I knew you were gonna get this far. So like there's definitely like involvement, you know what I mean? And the journey.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my face is hurting from smiling. You're so funny. I can relate to this so much. Like that's why I'm getting such a kick out of this. It's like you're describing my history. I get it. It's so cute and I love that you just went with it. Like that's going back to like when we were saying you didn't even like think of anything else. Like this was what you were going to do. And I love how you just went for it. That level of confidence is fantastic. You're a Rebbitzin, right? Can we talk about that? Okay. So what is that like playing the role, like having that role, being the Rebbitzin, and then like, oh, hey, I'll work out with you. Like, where does that ever cross over? How is it balancing that?
It's so funny because when we first moved to Chicago, and I was, like I'm a personal trainer. I'm a like I live in school. I live in my neighborhood, and I wanna service these women. I told my husband, I was like, I can't be like a trainer to them, to like the people in our community. And he's like, why not? Like you only know how to be yourself. Like the person who you are as a trainer is the same person you're going to be as a Rebbitzin. And when he said that to me, I was like, oh my God, totally. And everybody that I train is either like I'm saying it doesn't make a difference to me. Like I just am me. So
Love it.
I'm me, the same me that I am in the studio is the same me that I am in the show. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really like inhibit me. Some I think in the beginning I was very self-conscious of it and I wasn't sure if like it would like work well. But funny enough, like now here I am thinking, I don't even have like, I don't even know if like I think about it anymore. You know what I mean? It's not
It's
like,
really cool.
yeah, I think people know, like I really am what you see is what you get. So like it's the same person.
Right. That makes sense. It is interesting. Like I know when I also go by two different names, which is weird because in my community I go by one name, different first and last name.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, totally different. I'm Frady Reiser in the real world and I'm Michelle Moses in the business world.
Wait, what?
I know, it's crazy. I literally have two identities because like when I'm the mom, like at my son's school versus like when I'm in business mode, people like sometimes will say like they'll know me as Frady and they're like, you know, it's so crazy. You look so much like that girl on Instagram, Michelle Moses. And I'm like, oh, really? That's crazy. What a coincidence.
You're like, what?
I'm crying again.
Up. Why?
I can't. I don't know. You know what? It's obviously my kid's last name is Riser. So like my sons are Riser, my husband's Riser. I never changed my name because I had already built this business under my maiden name. So I just
Oh,
kept Michelle Moses. But like I'm not really Michelle. I go by my Hebrew name Frady. So I built this business under one name, but then like in real life I have this other name, and like you, I'm just still the same person. There's no difference, you know? But like
that's why you could do it, because you're just your authentic self. Like you are you. So it doesn't make a difference that you have two different names. So that's how I
right.
feel. Oh, do you know what I mean? I think that
Yeah.
like obviously, and I don't know if you like resonate with this. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I want her to be a client because like, like we talk about other like I just like I don't want to mix that. But like for the most part, that never happens. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I do. I totally get it. And that's why, because I do have that like dual identity thing going on. It's like my mom life and my business life are almost disconnected, yet they overlap so much. And I don't second guess the overlap. I used to. It used to weird me out in the beginning. And now it's kind of like my real life and my professional life can kind of merge and it's okay, you know? So I can relate. It's so funny. I totally get it. I'm not a Rebison, but I do understand. And okay, I really appreciate your time, Sarah. I have one more question, and that is your marathon running experience. How do you, first of all, how do you find the time, and what got you into that? And I mean, obviously, fitness and running do have obvious overlaps, but like, where did that come into play, and how are you doing all this?
So I'm gonna be really honest with you. It's a season of your life. Right now, I had a baby 6 months ago. I am not in that season of life right now.
Yeah.
But when I had a toddler and he was sleeping and I had more energy and my hormones were balanced out, I was training for a marathon. You know what I mean? So I'm
Wow.
not now. I feel like I need to tell people that because they're like, are you running a lot? I'm like, I'm barely making it through my runs right now, But I honestly, I like it. I like the cardio. I like the endorphins. It's a way of clearing my mind. It's like my drug. It's my therapy.
Amazing.
And I don't know how I even fell into the love for it. But I've been running for like as long as I could remember. Like I don't remember not running. You know what I
That's
mean? Like
super cool.
well, I started and I've been going since.
Amazing. I'm
Are
not a runner, so I'm
I
like, kudos to you.
So I think that I do want to touch on the time part. I think that like at the end of the day, we all have the time for like what's important to us. Some of us have time to go get pedicures and manicures once a week. Some of us have time to go out with friends. Some of us have time to go out with our, like, I don't know, whatever it is. We have time to do the things that we love. So one of the things that are really important to me is my workout. They help me be a better mom. They help me be a better wife. They help me be a better version of me. I feel better when I do them. It doesn't make them any easier, by the way. Like, just because I did it, that doesn't mean it was easy to do it.
It's a
But
very
I,
important point.
yeah, like, I think that that's one thing that, like, we see so many things. I have a business. I'm training people. I went on a run. I made a big smoothie for myself. Like, do you know how hard that was? Do you know tears I had to shed to make a business, like it's hard. I've also been in this industry since I was 18. That's like, how many years is that? That's 13 years. And I finally started my own like brand. So it takes time. And like even the run, I was supposed to go at 6:15 this morning. I didn't go till 7:23, which meant that I only had time to do 3 miles. Like things like that. Like people don't see the like behind the scenes. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's the thing that like I really like want to talk about. And even like in back to the butterfly method, when I meet my clients for the first time, I'm like, tell me everything. Like, what's up? what's going on? Why did you even join this program? Like, what got you to this point? Because we have to talk about the backstory to get to the like goal. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. Sarah, I could talk to you about this all day. You brought up
Yeah.
so many great points. I love the way you work with people. I love your energy. I wish we could chat longer, but I know you're super busy and you've got the next thing on your to-do list.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and work with you?
You can find me on Instagram, Sarah Isaacs _, and you can find me at thebutterflymethod.co. So www.thebutterflymethod.co, and you will see all of Michelle's beautiful brand.
Definitely check out Sarah and join her mailing list. Also, you have a great mailing list. And I also want to add, it was such a pleasure working with you a year ago. And I love when people are excited about you when they come to me. It's like, tell me more. So I love that. We've come full circle. Thank you so much for being here.